Hello and welcome everybody to Game 3 of Puma vs. Hero from the NASL Season 2 Grand Finals. My name is Glitch, and Game 3 is going to be here on NASL Shattered Temple, spawning in the 3 o'clock position as the Blue Protoss. Playing from Team Liquid, we have Hero. His opponent spawning as the Red Terran in the 8 o'clock position. Playing from Team Evil Geniuses, we have Puma. It is currently tied up 1-1 in this best of 7, so the series is still completely up in the air. Could go either way. Gonna have to see how both players gonna be playing this out. We are spawned cross by air positions. Yes, cross by air positions. No, we are spawned cross map positions at this point. So that's going to usually indicate a little bit more of a macro style game. A lot of times, a lot of players, since the rush distance is a little bit longer for cross map positions, then players will opt to go for things like fast nexuses or fast command center. It's a little bit safer to do. Might see that out of some of these players, or might see that out of either of these players. This game, if game 1 and 2 is any indicator, both games that we've seen so far from these players have involved a lot of getting fairly early expansions up, though they've been going for a pretty wide variety of builds. Of course, I've mentioned this before, but players of this caliber are always prepared with lots and lots of different builds that are very, very well refined. This is what makes the difference between these professional players and a lot of the even Grandmasters that you see on ladder. On Grandmasters, you'll see a lot of players that have very, very well perfected builds. They'll have one for use against Protoss, one for against Terran, one for against Zerg, or maybe a couple for some of them. But these players like these have very, very precise builds worked out where all their timings are very, very exact. They know exactly when they're getting which units. They know exactly the timing that they're getting each building. And everything is very, very well planned and organized from the get-go. They know exactly when they're going to attack with lots and lots of different builds here. And that is kind of what makes them very dangerous players to play against, is because this is how they have such consistent success across lots of tournaments. Whereas a lot of players will start to feel like StarCraft can too much or too often be a game of luck. A lot of times it can feel too coin flippy. You see players like Hero and Puma who can consistently win no matter who their opponent is or what build they go for, just because they have such a wide variety under their belt. Now, Puma did get a fast gas going here, but he only mined a little bit from it. That's kind of an interesting move here by Puma. He just got enough to get a reactor on his barracks, and now he's pulled guys off of gas, going to be mining strictly minerals. I would almost expect going to be seeing that command center going down here once again. Continuing to scout around the map, though, being very careful, being very diligent with his scouting. Both players don't want to lose to any kind of funny proxies or anything like that. We do see that the Cybernetics core has come down for Hero. I think this is a wise choice by Hero, as well as for Puma. You can see that both players going to be going for a little bit safer builds. They're not just going for the 1 racks expand or the 1 gate expand. They want to play it just a smidgen safer. They want to be a little safer as they take that expansion, just because the rush distances are a little shorter than they are on Antigua shipyards. Just a smidgen shorter. So they want, and since the game is also tied right now, neither player really has that option to play a little bit more risky. Both players are going to be wanting to play a little bit more safe to try to get that advantage. They want to play nice and safe, take advantage of the defender's advantage, the fact that they can build units and have them be right there at their own home base, as well as be able to pull probes and that kind of thing. You have a much bigger advantage. And oh, it looks like Hero's going to attempt to run by here. He's going to try to run by this bunker, and I think that was kind of a mistake there by Hero. I don't think that was a good choice at all to do. As we can see, Puma went for a very nice little wall here with this supply depot and this bunker, meaning that any units that try to do, well, what Hero just tried to do are going to have to run all the way around this bunker before getting into the base. And as you can see, there was even a good spread of Marines around that bunker, making it very, very difficult for Hero to get in. And Hero did lose a Zealot there, took some hull damage there on his Stalker as well, now going to be pulling back. In the base of Hero right now, we see that Puma is getting a full scout. Seeing that his opponent did go for that fast expansion, we see that Puma is starting to take an expansion of his own as he throws up more barracks there. So it looks like he's going to be transitioning back into that bio style of play that Puma loves oh so very much. Might even see that Ghost Academy here coming down very shortly. We will have to see if he opts to go for that. No factory is yet down for Puma. so it looks like he's going to be sitting on bio here for a little while. In the base of Hero, we do see that a robotics facility was thrown down after only one warp gate, and now a couple more gateways are going to be going down here very soon. Looks like continuing to be very aggressive with his scouting, constantly moving all around the map, has a probe in position here, maybe placing a pylon here very shortly to be doing some counterattack pressure here if his opponent decides to move out. This is something that we're going to start to see more and more commonly from Protoss players. This is always something you want to do as a Protoss player. Too often Protoss players get stuck in that mindset of, I'm the race that has the one big giant death ball, and that's what I do. I have one army that's all hotkeyed to one button, and that's what I do all the time. I just keep it there and I wait till it's strong. But something we're going to start to see a lot more, and we're starting to see it more a lot with the War Prism. Since the War Prism got buffed, we're starting to see a lot more moving all around the map. But we're going to start to see this with pylons as well. I think Protoss players are going to start to do this kind of business where they'll have pylons just placed all over the map. Once they have a good number of pylons in their main, they're going to start to throw them all around the map so that once their opponents move out, they can almost be like a Zerg player. This Terran army moves out to the center of the map. Well, I'll have a pylon here early on so that I can just warp some units in there and go for a big attack on your mineral line. Start to do a lot more dividing up of their army, and I think that's something that we're going to see a lot more from Protoss players in the future. As we can see, Hero doing a little bit of that. The pylon did go down there at that northern position. Going to be able to have that freedom to warp in units up there later on if he needs to. I knew Puma, no, he didn't actually spot. Thought that was him actually taking out the Observer. Puma is actually ridiculously good about that. He's one player that almost always, like, he is so good at spotting observers. As you can see, it's really, really hard to see it when it's not moving, but he's ridiculously good at realizing when observers are there. Look at that. I don't even know what told him that that observer was there, but Puma is so diligent about picking off observers and denying his opponent of scouting information. And it's one of those things that's a very, very small point, but it's something that Puma does a lot, and it really, really helps gain you small advantages, because now Hero's going to have a lot more trouble. He's either going to have to invest more gas in getting out and time at the robotics facility, getting out another observer, or he's going to have to start to resort to methods, other methods for scouting, like pushing at the front, which looks like exactly what Hero is going to do here. He does have a few Immortals out on the field right now, a few Sentries with a lot of energy saved up for force fields, but this force from Puma is actually really big right now. He's going to be pulling SCVs off the line to be able to heal this bunker, really wants to be sure that he survives this push, wants to play it very safe. Hero looks like he is going to go for the engagement here as he's now moving forward here with a lot of forces there, being a little bit indecisive. They're now realizing that ghosts are out on the field here for Puma, and Puma gets off a couple of beautiful EMPs. Force fields going down, but they really aren't doing that much as Puma's army is already in position to deal a lot of damage. Stim is done, and Puma is just going to absolutely destroy that attack. He is now up in food by about 20 food, 90 food to about 60 food, and holy cow, whoa. Check out that unit's loss tab. It is horribly in Puma's favor right now. Puma is in such a huge lead right now, and so far he delayed the starport by a lot. This is really what enabled him to get this huge army up with lots of ghosts early on, is that he really delayed this starport, delayed that factory, and because of that, he's going to have a huge army here. He needs to be very, very careful with his stims, because of course he has no medevacs to be able to heal them. He's going to continue to rally more units to the center right now. It looks like he's just going to be surviving with these two ghosts, as he's not producing anymore, producing lots of Marines and Marauders right now, all on the production tab. We can see that he's still only mining off 3 gas also. Notice he hasn't taken a 4th gas either. That's one more thing that allows him to get more mineral heavy units, lots more Marines, lots more Marauders, because he's now going to be mining a less gas, more minerals. But now that he's getting much better saturated here at his natural expansion, I fully expect that he's going to be taking that expansion here very shortly, and it looks like the first 2 medevacs are going to be popping out here very shortly. It looks like Hero's been trying to macro up another army. He's got a good number of Zealots here, good number of Stalkers, couple of Immortals. Sentry's building up some energy, not as good a energy as they could have here. Going to be getting more very shortly, but here he's not going to be taking a 3rd base here, and Puma is just now going to be taking a 3rd base of his own, as he did take those destructible debris down at the gold. Looks like Puma feeling a little bit confident here, as he's going to be moving out once again. Scout Factory is now up. He's going to be using that to get vision up onto the high ground. Absolutely critical if you want to engage in a position like this. There's such a huge ramp here, especially if your opponent has Colossi, which I don't think we have any yet. Looks like the first one is going to be out in time to be able to deflect this attack, but Colossi up on this high ground can be absolutely devastating, and Puma knows this, so he does have that factory here to be able to scout. Also will absorb some damage here if he can fit it in between the shots of the Stalkers, and it looks like that first Colossus is now out. Extended Thermal Lance, not done yet, still only 60 seconds done, still has another 80 seconds to go on. It is going to be a little while, and holy cow, that thing goes down fast to all the forces of Puma as he is now moving forward. His units are completely unupgraded. Force fields going down, but once again, not the best force fields, as Puma is just going to continue to stim forward and drop all the units of Hero, forcing Hero to GG out of Game 3, and Puma takes Game 3, meaning that we're going to be going into Game 4 right now with Puma up 2-1, so stick with me, guys. Game 4 of Puma versus Hero coming up in just a moment.